Good evening, everyone. Some of us think of this as one of our favorite parts of our board meetings lately, so we're very excited to start off with Franklin tonight. I'll ask them to come forward and get set up. Just like with the other buildings that are presented, Franklin will be speaking about their school improvement leadership team, their school improvement plan, the process, and all of the wonderful greatness that is going on at Franklin. And I will let Ms. Sarah Sanders introduce her team and get started. We're going to get you a mic. It does. You have to turn it on. If you want, you guys can sit across. If you're going to go there, maybe sit and use the mics. If you want to stand, you go over there. Yep.
Very fancy.
Yep, you could pull a couple other chairs if you'd like to.
All right. We have a couple of, we can't go anywhere without providing Franklin swag to people. So we have some things for you. I heard Jamie has a video, so we had to do a little Franklin flair, But hopefully you will enjoy that. Those are also our house colors for Franklin, and we'll explain what that means in a little bit as well. So again, I'm Franklin's principal, very proud principal, Sarah Sanders. I am finishing my 19th year in the school district and all at Franklin. I'll go ahead and let my team introduce themselves as well, but they'll also introduce themselves when their slides come.
Go ahead and hit the mic on and then just pull it in front of you.
Jennifer Moline, 7th grade special education teacher.
Jeff Bunnerkeepy, assistant principal.
I don't need a mic. I'm Danielle Gray. I'm a school counselor at Franklin STEAM Academy.
And Jess Lemkel, Dean of Students at Franklin. Great. Katie Waceris, 8th grade science teacher at Franklin.
And unfortunately, we do have to use mics because we tape these meetings for folks, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and then Dave Mass, associate principal as well.
All right, we're really happy to be here tonight. We have a slideshow. Do I do a clicker?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know we need a lot. We need a lot of them. Yes. Oh, the clicker. Got it.
We'll try it. Okay, I'll be the clicker guy. Okay, we'll
Take this spot. We just have to get organized. All right. Okay. So thank you for having us. I'm really excited about the board spotlights. I think that it's great that our schools are able to be in front of our board like this. So thank you for the opportunity. So we are Franklin STEAM Academy. We serve 6th through 8th grade middle school students, 11 to 14, and we have about 630 to 650 students, demographically diverse in our building. This is our school improvement leadership team. They are a dynamic group of people. I'm honored to work alongside them with Laura Taylor's leadership as well. We have gotten a lot of work done these last few years as a part of our SILT committees, our school improvement leadership team committees. And we have 4 SILT committees, which are student learning and engagement, equity, social emotional learning, and our family and community engagement, better known as FACE. We kind of stole that from the district. Hope you don't mind, but it was very genius. I'm not going to read all of that to you, but underneath is kind of the macro goal of each of our committees, and pretty self-explanatory when you see the title of the SILT committees. This is just some data that we chose to share with you all. Some of them are highlights and some of them are areas of growth, things that we still know that we need to work on. A couple of highlights with our MAP growth. All of our cohorts grew in math from last year to this year, winter 2021 to winter 2022. But especially in our 7th grade cohort, we had the reading winter map cohort went from 29 to 49, so they grew significantly, which you can see in the bar graph below. We are reducing that red, meaning that more students are growing at rapid rates. And so also the 7th grade cohort with math from winter map 21 to 22, the median percentile grew from 16 to 33. So we are lessening that gap where we have all of our cohorts are growing at a pretty, with this particular cohort, at a pretty rapid rate. So we're very, very proud of that. We have great teachers at 7th grade, great teachers in all grade levels, but they really worked hard to kind of recoup some of that COVID stagnant growth that was happening, for lack of a better term. So with our IAR, we are in the mix, and poor Dave, he's very stressed out right now. He oversees IAR state testing, and it's a lot to get people tested and makeup and everything, but he's rocking it. He's doing a great job. It's a hard assessment, you know. It's hard for our staff, it's hard for our students, it's hard for the people that organize it. So it takes a lot to get it together, and they do a really good job. So great work. But within IAR, we do have a couple of highlights. It is a very rigorous assessment. Our Asian and white students are outperforming the district average. Multilingual students are tied with the state average. Students with IEPs are outperforming the district average, and our Asian students are outperforming the state average for similar students in math. We still have a lot of work to do with our Black students and our Latino population when it comes to IAR. I'll bring us down to the bottom left-hand corner, which is Panorama. So Panorama, maybe some of you do or don't know, but it was started, Dr. Ward, you're gonna have to help me, a long time ago at the middle level. It's been a great, for 5 years, it's been a great gauge when it comes to social emotional learning for our students. They take it 3 times a year, winter, spring, and fall. And we try to hit a district percentage of 90% of our entire student body to take this. And our students at FSA, we were at 92.2% of FSA students completed the Panorama survey. And again, that's a huge testament to our school counselors. We have 4 of them, Danielle Gray, Nitrain Epton, Brian Weisbrod, and Kristen Monahan, and they do a wonderful job going in. They also teach career cruising, and they do a great job of issuing this survey and making sure that all of our students are represented in this survey, because it is some really important anecdotal data that we get from that. So within this survey, they ask a series of questions. A lot of it is about social emotional learning, self-efficacy, growth mindset, how students are feeling about their teachers. There's a lot of just questions that really get at the grit of middle school and what it means to be a middle school student. And so we have increased 3 percentage points in the area of teacher-student relationships. Additionally, students responded favorably to the survey in these areas, which is diversity and inclusion at 74%, growth mindset at 57%, and self-management at 70%. So that is, again, major growth with our students, especially during kind of some of that COVID era where we didn't have such a large connection because our kids were away from us in remote learning. So we're very proud of that work as well. Keeping students connected at the middle level is huge and critical, as you all know, and we try to do that the best that we can. So our discipline area, we continue to use our restorative work and wraparound services. Several of our staff members have been formally trained in restorative practices. We continue to do that. And so, I can't read all the way down there, and I should have this memorized, I'm so sorry. But it looks like FAIR, we're on track. We're about 80, 65, something on. Thank you. We're doing all right. Again, still growth in that area. And the biggest part of our work with discipline is behavior change and really accountability and really trying to wrap around and connect our students. So relationships are huge and key in that area. As far as some things that we still have to work on, we still have an opportunity gap that exists between our white students, our Black students, students of color, and which also that contributed to our ISB summative designation as targeted. Now from 2018 to 2021, our summative designation was targeted in also the area of children with disabilities. But due to the academic growth in that subset of students, in that set of students, we are no longer having that designation with our children with disabilities. So that's huge for us. So thank you. Next slide. I'm gonna go ahead and kick it over to Katie Laceras.
Hi, good evening. Am I close enough? Okay. I'm using my phone for notes, just to let you know. Okay, so this is about our journey to the targeted learning focus, which we have all kind of experienced with focus schools, has been awesome. I especially love this part because our teachers' voices they were the priority. And I think we did a really great job of going slow to go fast later to make sure that everyone was heard to the best of our ability. So just to highlight like some of the pathway, we started off by gaining understanding. So we thought, okay, we have all these multiple initiatives, ideas that maybe aren't seen through a lot of different goals, and how we're kind of in a chaos, right? We're doing everything we can, but the train isn't running in the same direction all of the time. So we gained an understanding of, all right, what would it look like if that was the case, right? How effective could we be? So we used this diagram that you see to have a discussion, and teachers agreed that would be great. So how do we get to that point? Well, that's when we started to dig into the work, and this is where we found very vulnerable conversations that were very healthy and brought up some things about some feelings that our teacher staff had that needed to be addressed, and it was awesome. So it took us a little longer than usual, but that is okay because the outcome was wonderful. So we did a placemat activity where teachers were grouped up and they identified good issues, important things, and urgent things happening at Franklin. And after they kind of huddled, came up with their points, they posted them around a room, and then we did a gallery walk where they got to choose the top 5 urgent things. We acknowledged that there are some really important things that should be addressed, but we wanted to maybe tie those into our targeted learning focus and really get down to like the nitty-gritty of what's really the thing that we should highlight. So that is what we got from digging into the work. And teachers did a great job of putting all of these ideas out there. So SILT leadership team took these ideas for the urgent and narrowed them down into 5 categories. And these 5 categories were then voted on by the teacher staff, and we got down to 1. So we went from 5 importance to 3 to 2 and to 1. And teachers had a say throughout the entire process, which was kind of cool. Also, lots of emails and Google Forms were a part of that as well. So we did get down to our number 1, which was literacy. Everyone agreed that this should be a focus for us, our most urgent need here at Franklin. And if we can align everything to that, then we were on the right track. So this is our targeted learning focus statement that we were able to come up with. Teachers gave input on the verbiage and concepts they thought should be included, and then the leadership team came up with a statement, and teachers gave comments on it afterwards. So Franklin's STEAM Academy students are confident learners who strategize to build diverse vocabulary and comprehend texts across all content areas and settings. I think one nice thing we did at the end was ask teachers to talk about how do they see this statement coming alive in their classroom without even kind of knowing how to approach this whole process. Just from these words, how can they see this coming alive? And the confident, diverse vocabulary, comprehension, those words really resonated. And so I think we got to a really good point with our TLF.
Okay, well, like I said, these are our SILT committees at Franklin, and you're going to learn a little bit more about some highlights and future goals that each of our SILT committees have. So I will go ahead and kick it over to student learning and engagement.
All right, so we're just going to start with the 4 goals that we have right now for our Student Learning and Engagement Committee, which is Katie and myself, and who's been a blessing to work with, I just want to say. So our first goal is that we are looking at 2 to 3 high yield strategies, and we have looked a lot at AVID strategies for this one, and looking at essential questions and reflections because it's important to know what direction you're going in, and then reflecting upon that learning to determine whether or not you actually have learned what was set out to be learned. Number 2 is to create a list of ways teachers can provide some voice and choice within learning. Again, the goal is to increase student engagement, and by giving students a voice and choice in how they should demonstrate their learning is, I think, a very important part to increasing that engagement. And then Mrs. Sanders also pointed out that one of the panorama goals is centered around growth mindset. And so one of our goals is aiming at trying to provide a common building vocabulary that focuses on self-advocacy and growth mindset. So that way we can encourage students to realize, hey, just because you get it right now or you don't get it right now doesn't mean you can't get it later. And then our last goal is targeting that targeted learning focus, where we're going to be looking at this coming year, identifying 2 to 3 literacy strategies per semester that teachers can then use and implement within their own classrooms, and providing PD that will focus on those strategies.
So for the highlights and future plans for student learning and engagement, we had this awesome Exploratories Day that was around like the COVID time, where teachers chose a topic they were really passionate about to teach, and students got to choose, and they could choose, they didn't have to choose the teachers that they had, they could go to any grade level, and that was a huge hit. Very, very cool, very, very well done virtually. How we can do that in person, we're still working out the details, but it works very well. Also, we developed quite a few methods of collecting data and creating spaces to analyze this data to kind of give us a one-up on this targeted learning strategy focus. As far as future plans, we are trying to utilize the time that we have efficiently and effectively. So we're starting to rebrand our team meetings to really focus on the instruction. Ensuring that we have consistency and align the work throughout not only our grade level teams, but the whole school. Are we going towards that one focus? So we're creating systems and structures that allow for teaching strategies to be delivered and implemented effectively. Also, streamlining this data collection process and figuring out a way, how can we get this data and then use the data? We want to do a lot of in-house professional learning where teachers actually do the teaching to their colleagues, which is really cool. So we're working on that as well, making sure teacher voice and choice is a priority in this whole process while they collect all of the voice and choice from our students as well.
All right, we love pictures at Franklin, and they're probably so sick of me going around the school and taking pictures of everything, but it's so important to capture these moments because you have to be able to look back on them and share them and champion them, and there's hard days that come and you're like looking back through your camera roll like, okay, we're good. I can make it, right? So sorry, you're gonna have to look at a few pictures next. All right, so our next School Improvement Leadership Committee is Equity, and I'm the admin that oversees Equity along here with Jen Moline, who is the sweets queen and the baker of your cookies, probably the best cookie you'll ever have in your life. It's mine.
If it's not
great.
good, Dave made it.
I'm hyping it up. It is so good. Look, it is. My husband, I brought him one, and he was like, "I'm sorry, babe, but this is better than yours."
It's like a meal in a
for the Equity, some of our goals, and I think the other thing to remember is that these are fluid goals. When we have achieved a goal, which is really important part of this process, and why I love being part of and having our school improvement plans be so targeted in this way, is because you really feel like you're achieving things. So once you mark off a goal, you put another one up there. It's never ending. There's always more work to do. So all of us have completed many goals within the past few years, and it's such a feeling of success. And so that's something really important to note. So while we've had many goals through the equity committee. These are just some of the current ones that we've had. So examining data and building policies, identifying systemic barriers, creating a culturally relevant walkthrough form, which we're going to be working with a coach to help us through that, identifying barriers and ways to remove the barriers for family engagement, and then our targeted learning focus goal that aligns with our targeted learning focus for our school is creating a menu of culturally relevant vocabulary acquisition strategies that staff will use across all content areas. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
I totally took her slide. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep going. I love you. Do you want to go?
No, I'm good. That's the way. We're good.
She just had
Enjoy
the
the
win
cookies.
for tonight. Okay, so some of the highlights that we have. Our team created an equity in action, which were tips and tricks. That is a link. So if you have the PowerPoint, that is a link so that you can link into some of the things that we've done with our grade level teams. It was tips and tools shared at weekly grade level meetings to support the increase of equitable practices. So these could be anything from real basic things like greeting your students as they are coming in the door to other things like making sure that you're reaching out to a different family each week, getting them to come in, really developing a relationship with a specific family and maybe a family that is challenging for you to connect with. Another one is we re-examined FSA's dress code, if you will, to make it more equitable and inclusive. We all know that dress codes and attire expectations can be inherently sexist and racist. And so we really took a deep dive into this last year. Our last SIP day was all about this. And we read a very important article on Black girls' dress and attire and dress coding. And it was very powerful. And our staff was like, we got to make some changes. And so we did, and it felt great. And our staff and students, I think, felt really good about it. We also spearheaded a couple of years ago, I don't know if you guys remember this, the United Way's 21-week equity challenge. 66% of our staff participated formally, and there was a lot of other staff that participated informally. And we kept data. We have forms and charts and graphs and lots of great feedback on that. So our future plans are we're going to be working with an equity coach from the Valbrun Consulting Group. We're really excited about that. We have put in our application and hopefully we'll get matched soon. I feel like it's a kind of a dating service, but I think it's really important to get with the right person. And we're really excited about that because we have a couple of goals that we just need some guidance on. And I think having a bird's eye view from an outside party will really help us hone in on some things. So excited about that. And then we also have an ad hoc committee. So some subcommittees within our equity silk, because these are large goals. So we have we created some micro goals within these larger goals to support the overall goal and mission, and really excited about one of them is a cultural celebration committee where we are really looking at the calendar and making sure that we are celebrating all of our different kids and families and things that they celebrate culturally and traditionally within our school community to make everybody feel welcome. More pictures for you.
Alrighty, I'm Jess Lemkel, the administrator working with social emotional learning, and our chair, Rachel Mateka, could not make it tonight, so I'm just going to share kind of just a bird's eye view of SEL. So some goals that we are currently working on or have recently worked on include using Panorama data to create lessons and share those out to staff, creating a list of self-care strategies to share with all of our Franklin family. Also coming up with some culturally relevant and culturally relevant universal behavior management systems, and we actually did that. You all have water bottles. You'll notice they're in 4 different colors. We have moved away from PBIS. We now have this thing called the house system, and each of us is in a different house, and we all come together and celebrate our houses and work together as a team to earn house parties and, collab during our house meetings. So that's right, house party. Yeah.
House party?
That's right.
Not those house
So,
parties.
yeah, that's been really fun.
I was old school, Dr. Boozer. You don't do house parties.
Also we have our TLF goal, which is to share and kind of teach students to use emotional vocabulary words in the future. So that's something we're really going to narrow in on next year. So moving on to our highlights and future plans, as I mentioned, we have the house system, but we also created weekly advisory classes, and we developed or adopted a curriculum called 7 Mindsets, during which we share that curriculum. We've also shared out a lot of other lessons, not from 7 Mindsets. We have also provided staff with a ton of resources for collective social emotional learning experiences throughout the student's day. In the future, we continue to plan to offer PD surrounding emotional vocabulary, the TLF, embed terminology from Panorama into our instructions so students really know what they're responding to on those Panorama surveys, and also gather feedback from staff and students on advisory and the house system and continue to move those forward in a positive direction. So SEL. There's some pics. We got some house party pics. We got our beautiful GSA students at Pride, and some projects that students have done.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Mast. I'm the administrator with the Family and Community Engagement Committee. Danielle Gray, Miss Danielle Gray, is the committee chair. The goals that we have set for our FACE committee, which is in a direct alignment with the district strategic plan priority 3, is that our first goal obviously is to increase that engagement with our families. So we are creating and supporting 2 events or activities per school calendar year that gets families in, that gets them involved. Other times that it's outside of the open houses, it's outside of parent-teacher conferences. We're thinking kind of outside the box to try to create other opportunities for them to come in. Our second goal is to identify and remove those barriers that have eroded families' trust over the school years. And generational trust sometimes is lost, especially with some of our student populations, focusing truly on marginalized populations. Also, a lot of our multilingual learners, and really looking at barriers that might be there, systems, practices that just aren't serving those populations well. So we're trying to identify those, establish more inclusive norms and systems there too. Our third goal is to create an engagement structure. So we're looking at trying to find community stakeholders as well. We are a committee that actually has a parent member to the committee who will show up and contribute. We also have a student who also is a part of our committee as well. So we're trying to include all stakeholders. Dr. Amanda Gray is also the Title I parent liaison for the district. She also attends our committees as well. We are looking always for connecting with other community partners as well. And in fact, we just connected with someone from the U of I as well. So again, just trying to engage in all ways, shapes, and forms with other people. And then our learning focus goal is our One Book, One School initiative. So bringing literacy through an event that I don't want to steal your thunder, Miss Gray, so I'm going to let you take it with the next slide. I know better. So
Don't do it.
Okay, I know better.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Ooh, I get the best part of the slide. First of all, I just want to say working at Franklin has been one of the best honors of my life. I love sitting up here talking about Franklin. I'm an alumna not only of this school, but this community. And so it fits that I am the chair of this committee. One of the best things that I'm most proud of is that we changed our open house format from a traditional non-participatory format to what I love to call my dream, a block party. And we did this before COVID is when we really changed our open house format. And I love that we have admin and a principal that supports our work as a team at Franklin. She supported this change in our vision. We now have a block party as our open house, and it's the bomb way to kick off the year. It brings in our family, it brings in community. It's a great way for our teachers to start building relationships with our students and their families. And so it's like my heart. I love that we do this. It's attended, 700 people attend our block party. So it's the bomb. So you're welcome. You can come and get food.
You also have a save the date also, by the way.
And there's a
little-
save the
little
date.
Save the date.
Right
That's-
next to your water bottle.
All right, so no excuses.
So that's my big highlight for us, is that we take on a big portion of the responsibility for planning that event. We are also very excited for our future plan ties into the Target Learning Focus. We've decided to attack the one book, one school idea, where and really family and community engagement, our focus is how do we get our families excited about literacy, and how do we get them engaging with what we're also trying to engage the students in with. So that's kind of how FACE is interacting with the one book, one school, but it's gonna take a huge effort from everybody. But we're in the planning stages. We're actually also inviting NIU back in, who did a lot of our STEAM training and are set up for us to even be a STEAM school. We're inviting them back in to kind of coach us on this one book, one school. We're in the planning stages right now, choosing the book. We're super excited about it. Dr. Taylor, I think, jumped out of her chair when we talked about this idea. So that's what I have to say about FACE. I'm pretty proud of Franklin.
All right, so I'm going to jump back in quick and talk a little bit about AVID and what's going on at AVID at Franklin. Once again, we were the just first of the national demonstration sites. Just throw that back out there. But just saying. So the highlights going on right now is we've done a lot to revamp our recruitment process. We continue part of our future plan is to continue to revamp that process. But right now we do a college rush week, AVID Rush Week, where it's the really awesome part about it is that it's very student driven. Where our 7th and 8th graders actually create presentations for our 6th graders and for our 7th and 8th graders, and then they go out and present to all the other students and try and gain recruits for AVID. And then they actually do a lot of the interviewing process. They bring students up at lunch. They do different AVID activities with them. So it's a really, really awesome week for our students during that time. We've also done a lot of partnering with the U of I. Ms. Gray here is one of my co-site coordinators. And she's done a lot of work. We brought in the quantum computing group from Beckman Institute. Our 6th graders just went out there the other day. We have the culinary kids group that comes in on Fridays with all 3 grade levels. And so they get access to learning how to cook healthy. So that's been really awesome. We also do a variety of AVID family engagement nights. We do a induction night where we actually change that back up, try to make it special for our students that are coming first time into AVID, where we kind of, talk to families about what is AVID, what it looks like to be a part of AVID. And then also kind of give them just some starter stuff to kind of get them ready for AVID. But we also have done, we do a movie night. And in years past, there's some pictures up there. We actually, we had a blow up screen and a transmitter where we put during COVID when we couldn't all be together. We have families come to the drive-in? Sorry, I'm being told to wrap up. I'm sorry. I keep talking. I need to stop. So I've been done. I've been told to stop. But we're doing a lot of work. We got future plans, so I will stop now.
All right, that is our presentation. It's so hard to do this in like a certain amount of time because obviously we're just really proud of this building and our staff and our school and our community, and so we could just keep going. So sorry for if we went over, but we really appreciate you listening and taking the time to hear everything about our school that we love so much. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet because they're going to have some questions.
For you sometime.
Yeah.
I kind of like a room filled with laughter and love. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. Questions? Ms. Vasquez?
I am on the record pretty vocally about my favorite schools. It's quite incredible tonight that we're going to hear from the two that mean an incredible amount to me. It goes without saying, I'm so proud of Franklin. I'm so proud to be part of the Franklin family. It never changes. You only have to call. I will do it. You never have to ask me twice. I will always say yes to David and Sarah. I will say yes to Danielle, but I always make her ask the second time. My question, though, is can you talk a little, just the houses seems to be going on across different campuses. Is this happening pretty consistently, or are you all working together? Because a couple schools we've heard from have these houses happening. So are you working with other schools to come up with these ideas? How is that unfolding itself, the housing? Because I think it's really cool, and I kind of always want to be part of a house.
I'll start, but this is really Jess's baby, so I'll kind of tell you just how it came to be. We really were looking for an approach to get our entire school community engaged in a different way when it came to not just behavior. Like the PBIS is very PBIS-y, very like you get tickets if you do good, you don't get tickets if you don't. And we really wanted our students to feel connected and want to do better because they deserve better, they want better, they're accountable and right, and we see so much in them. And so we were looking for ways that we could do that. And the team really researched a lot of different approaches to that and kind of landed on this Ron Clark Academy. I mean, there were a couple of different things out there on the table, and they just really dug in and talked to people and researched, and this seemed like it was very profound and positive and powerful. And so from there, they met for hours. I mean, hours all through the summer. It was incredible. I was able to come to some of
30 hours.
yeah, some of the meetings, and it just, so I'll let you kind of take it from there, but.
I mean, I don't really have a ton to add to that. We have 4 different houses. Visionaries are purple, Explorers are green, Creators are orange, and Inquirers are yellow. And within that, you know, the staff took a survey, kind of like a sorting hat situation. You know, the staff took a survey, and in the future, we're going to have students take a survey. This year, we had to just get them into the houses, and they're in their advisories based on their house. And when we have house meetings, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th. So, like, it's all about, like, building team and, you know, building community and family in those spaces. And then each month on our early out days, we have an incentive or a house party. And the house that has the most.
Boozer likes house parties.
Right. I mean, come on down, early out,
Really
70
thought Danielle
minutes,
was
you know.
thinking about the house party.
All right, creators. Love it.
Creator.
So, so the house with the most amount of points wins the incentive. Sometimes for our first one, we actually had everybody experience it so we could get them like into it. So that's the house system in a nutshell.
And I also want to say thank you to, what?
Yeah, as far as other buildings, we didn't know that other buildings
We
are
didn't,
doing that,
yeah.
but that's awesome.
It's just Kenwood,
That's cool.
really
Okay.
Kenwood. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah,
and
no,
actually,
it's-
let me, before you go, Sarah, if you don't mind, please, say what you're going to say. I think what we should realize, too, recognize is, again, this team is, we struggled, a little bit slow start, right? We talked about this before, a little bit slow 3 years ago when we started this process. But what we provided, what the SILT structure, what you did through strategic planning, was this ability to have teacher, administrative voice, team voice. And what I think we're seeing coming out of that are these innovative and different ideas. I don't think, they weren't talking necessarily to another school, but what it does is provides the opportunity for the experts in the field to bring it actually to the top, meaning in the building top, to make decisions, and then a structure that I come in and kind of manage on the behalf of the strategic plan, really. So I think that's what we're seeing, and they've done a really good job with that. Now you can say your thing, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say that with the houses, also, we appreciated the budget reallocations for the seed money because it's really, shout out Linda and whoever, Dr. Boozer and people that are able to get those monies reallocated in different creative ways because it's allowed us to really pour into our students in a different way and support this house system that's been a really great experience for everybody. So,
And the block party.
and the Black Party, yeah.
And the block party.
I am excited. You have a future night I have a future in my household. And so I'd love to have each of you sign something that says you will not leave until he graduates. But I know that's not possible, but I'm excited. I saw also on the Carrie Busey note that our 5th graders will be attending Franklin. So there's already collaborations happening, and so I'm excited to see that we're moving forward in some of those spaces. I also want to acknowledge the Franklin staff. I mean, it has been, since I've been on the board, you all have dealt with a lot. There's been a lot. There's been former students, current students, and you have loved on every single one of them. And so I love that you still practice self-care and that you see joy in those pictures, because we acknowledge that you all are doing some amazing work with our students. So just a thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I think that means more than anything. It is a special place, and I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I love this. I'm a product of Unit 4. I love my building. I love these people that I work alongside every day. I wouldn't want it any other way. I learned from some of the best, Dr. Ward. Thank you. I don't want to get emotional, so I'm going to stop there, but thank you for all of your support and work, and I know that you see us, and I know that you believe in us, and that means the world to us, so thank you.
Kathy?
Okay, I don't really have a question. I just want to pile on more of the compliments because, you know, I'm in the building because I have a mentee there, and I see some amazing staff wrapping around these students and being creative with ideas for the students who need help. And I see the care and concern that you display every week that I'm in there, and it's truly, truly amazing. Thank you so, so much for everything that you are doing for these kids.
I forget this button. Thank you for your mentorship and all of you who are doing so many different formal and informal mentorships. It does mean a lot to our kids. And I'm sorry if I am zooming around every day when I don't get to sit and talk to you more, but thank you for coming in. That consistency is key. Thanks.
Elizabeth, might as well.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for everything that you are doing. I'm an alumna of Franklin, so I'm very proud of Franklin. It was great when I was there, and it's even better now. So thank you for everything that you do, all the hard and at times painful work to make Franklin the amazing school it is. I do have a question about, well, I guess I'll ask my usual question, but I'll start with a question. You made a courageous change, I would call it, with the dress code. I know a lot of schools and administrators, the whole school environment isn't always like ready to make those dress code changes. But it sounds like it's been a positive thing for you to challenge these beliefs that we have about how girls dress. What were, to make it distinct from my usual question, what are some benefits that you have seen, some specific benefits you have seen to relaxing your dress code rules?
And we still have high expectations, so I don't want to like mix that up. We want to teach students and guide students to understanding there's a time and place, you know, for everything. Unfortunately, our world lives in this very visual realm of like what you look like, and we're trying to combat that every day. I mean, all of us are, everywhere we are in so many spaces. But we were at the point where, and I'm going to be super vulnerable for a minute, we were at the point where we were harming our Black girls mostly, like not allowing them to wear hair protective styles and bonnets and just certain things, no caps, no hats, no this. We still don't allow hoods because Dr. Boozer says we can't, and because it's a safety issue. And I would never, I think that's my one thing, and they will tell you that's my one thing. I'm like, no hoods. I don't care. We're not, just because you can't see people, you know.
Hoods and masks do not go well together.
They do not. But so at least for now. But you know, I love a good hoodie, right? So we're always on. We were kind of on this fence of like, how do we encourage our students to be who they are in self-expression, especially in middle school when that's so very important. But also to have high expectations and teach them that you're going to come into spaces, like read the room, right? So we started, it was hours of work of just really talking to our staff, and some of our staff are still on the fence about like, well, I don't think we should, allow that, or, but we have been massaging this idea for, a year and a half now. And even like trends within teenagers and preteens have changed, and we have to keep up with those times. And we can't say to one group of students that it looks okay, and to another group it doesn't look okay. People's bodies are different. Everything is different, especially at middle school when you have things happening at different rates and times. And so it's not us to tell them it looks okay on you and it doesn't look okay on you, and you got to change that, but you can keep that on. And our students were recognizing that, I think, and it just wasn't okay. And so we really just put that in the front runner of like all of our discussions and our conversations that we were having, and it really did change just how people, I think, looked at our children and embraced our children and allowed them to be who they were, and whatever that means, like come how you are. Again, there's still some, expectations, right? But I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes.
We started with a really powerful article, and I can share the article with you all, but it really hit home for a lot of our staff. And that was the driving force of like, oh my gosh, we didn't realize that this was the message we were sending when we said, you can't wear this, 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 and this, and this.
Thank you.
If I can just comment real quick on that. In the classroom, I've noticed that we as teachers, we don't have to be on kids, no hats, no this, and they're more secure with themselves. If they've got a bad hair day, how many times I would love to wear a hat, right? And I think that has helped with their focus. So we can put our time and our efforts into other things with these students in the classrooms. That's something that I've noticed, at least in my space.
Thank you. And then my last question for anybody who wants to answer it is, as you've been implementing these changes, what have been some things that have surprised you? See, it's a really good question. That's why I ask everybody.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I don't.
I'll talk. I think with the house system, and I was on a team that did summer writing to come up with the house system, I've been very surprised by how invested a lot of our kids are. When you're doing morning announcements, they want you to pull up the house points and see who's in the lead, and they're not allowed to ask for points, but they get really excited if at the end of class you're just like, hey, I'm going to give house points to everybody in the class. The Ron Clark app, the system that we're using, makes it really easy to put your rosters in and give points really easily. So I think that's one of the biggest changes I've seen as far as that.
I can say for when we were doing the TLF, Targeted Learning Focus work, teachers, we definitely, we got in our feels, right? Which sometimes we don't have a safe space to do, but like our incredible admin, they were just like, let's hear it. Everybody speak out and speak up. And this is my 14th year teaching, and I've never been in a space like that. So it was hard. It wasn't easy. It was hard, but people's voices were heard and things came out that needed to be addressed that maybe would have not been said otherwise, that we now get to include in this targeted learning focus work. So for me, that was a really cool thing to see. And I think that kind of set a tone. Your voice matters, and it's not just a top down, right? So I think that is also a message that we're, reminding everybody this is not a top-down system. We are a family, we are one, we are working together. So that was a really cool thing that happened.
That's awesome. Thank you. One thing that you said, you were talking about, I love that in our line item budgeting, you reallocated, it's one of my many favorite parts about Linda's, but your background is in education. So targeting buildings, reallocating resources to where they're targeted back to the strategic plan is crucial. And you guys are feeling it and telling us that it's working. And that's pretty incredible. I had the opportunity to get a lot of advocacy emails from students at Franklin. It was awesome. And I reached out and immediately, no, it was great. But, and, but I wanted to see them. Like, I wanted to have like this face-to-face conversation. So there's going to be a couple board members that get asked to go to this. And I love that you push the students to self-advocate and talk about things that matter, because that's how a democracy gets built and that they can participate. So thank you for everything that you do. And Katie, I've never seen you be quiet. I love this. This is fun. And you're one of our favorite buildings. I love visiting your building because of the happiness that you see inside the building. And it's been tough.
Yes, it has. And thank you for responding. Every time I got copied on one, I'm like, there's no way she's responding to this student's email. And you would just go right back at it. I'm like, you had to have 114 emails in there, and you were very
I think I did
responsive,
14 yesterday. It was great. I love the advocacy. Like,
Thank you.
Things that are important to them. It's incredible.
It does mean a lot to our students that they are heard. And so for you to respond, it's important.
Oh, it was great. Thank you. Anything else? Other questions? I'll ask. How can we support you? What more can we do to support you? And you don't have to catch it off here, but you can
that
email.
you just gave us, if you could just put that in a recorder and we can just play those on Fridays, like every Friday at 3:30, that would be great.
Friday, 3:30, complimentary emails. Okay. Got it.
For me, I think this is my 11th year working at Franklin, but I am an alumna of the community. I think it was important that the board recognized that, and I'm glad to hear that you're recognizing Franklin was a different building. We have a different load, and I'm glad that you guys are seeing that, recognizing it. But we have the most powerful staff and team and admin team. I'm excited for the changes. I think it's going to really matter and help kids, because that's why we're there and that's why we do what we do. And I need you to continue to see that we are Franklin and we're unique and different, and we serve a different group and population of kids that comes with its own set of, gifts. So I wanted you to see us, like you guys said. You gave us shout outs. That's what we need. That drives us. It's like, I'm excited to go to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, just to piggyback on that, and then we're probably done, right? But I say this all the time to my family, my personal family, my Franklin family, but we have such a brave superintendent and board and executive leadership team. And I'm so proud I know those decisions are so hard. And I know that you go against political things and social dynamics and all these different community situations. And I know not personally sitting in your seat, but sitting in your seat must be really, really challenging. But you are so brave and courageous, and I appreciate that, and our kids feel that. So keep being brave.
Thank you. We'll take that.
As you are departing, I just want to say thank you. And then when I walk your building, I feel the joy. You brought the joy with you. But the things that you talked about here, and as you were giving and shout outs to different ones, I just want us to make sure that we understand that equity means, when we talked about the strategic plan, bringing it to life. So it's not just me or a couple people here or there. It's a team, and we do some work because we see you, and we want to continue to lift you up. So when we lift you up to do what you need to do, give you the resources and the support, then it trickles down to the kiddos, and that really matters. So I just want to say thank you for all your hard work, and also thank you for all those who pour into this system. So thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.